I moved to New York City in the springtime, a wandering soul just looking for where I belonged. The first morning, I stepped out of my dark room in the West Village. I watched the waves of pedestrians passing by. I listened to the sound of footsteps as they ricocheted off the canyons of the buildings. And I feasted on the most delicious smell of fresh baked bread. And then I heard it. This sound that floated in on the breeze, a song that sang, Day-o, day-o, daylight come and I want to go home. I looked around and I couldn't see anyone who was singing, and no one else seemed to even notice. Summer came. I broke free from my dark and dingy little room, and I went exploring the city. I went down to the financial district. I'm walking down Wall Street. I turn a corner, and I hear this voice again. Day-o, day-o, daylight come and I want to go home. I look around, and there is no one on the street, no one anywhere. There are no pedestrians. There are no cars passing by. There are no open windows. And then I realize the music is coming from below my feet. It billows out of the subway grate like smoke in Gotham City, and then it fades away. Fall came. By now, I am a New Yorker. I'm always in a hurry, and I'm always running late. I'm rushing through Midtown when suddenly I hear this voice again. Day-o, day-o, daylight come and I want to go home. I look around. This time I'm determined to find where the voice is coming from. But I don't have to wait for long. Halfway down the block, I see hovering in the air a basket. And it's moving towards me. I step out of the flow of the crowd, and I wait. Finally, I see her. This dark chocolate-skinned woman. Her hair is twisted in a turban, and she is balancing a basket on her head. She's wearing a t-shirt and jeans and a tropical sarong twisted around her waist. She moves in slow motion with such style and grace that it truly was as if she was in another world. And I must have been the only witness, because I'm telling you, not a single person on the street seemed to even notice that she was there. I stood back and I just watched her walk through the crowd as if she was invisible. Then she moved into my neighborhood, into a cardboard box, conveniently located next to the Uptown 1 and 9. You could clearly see on the inside is where she stored her basket and her blankets, but on top she was in business. There was a piece of fabric and flowers laid out. They were slightly wilted like day-old bread, but she carefully arranged them, tied them with string, and sold them for $1 with a song. And every time I saw her, I walked a little slower. I just soaked it in. But then winter came, and it was cold. It was much, much too cold. Late one night, I'm rushing home. I'm fighting against the wind, and I come to her corner. I see that she's been evicted by the trash man. All of her things are gone. When I look to my right, I see her. She's huddled underneath a phone booth where she cannot call home. I reach into my pocket and I pull out some money and I say, "Please take this. You can't stay here. It's much too cold." And she leaned up on one arm. She looked up at me and said, "I cannot take your money. I have no flowers to sell, don't you know?" And I said, "This is not for flowers, please. This is for all of the times that I've heard you sing, and it has filled me up." And she said, "Then you must have a song." And she pulled my arm, she pulled me down to her, and she whispered in my ear a song. It was a song about a little bird in springtime who was building a nest for her young. She was so cold she could barely speak, but she managed a little trill to her voice. And when she was done, she turned my face to her and she said, "My name is Ellie." And I left her there, underneath the phone booth, where she could not call home. The next day she was gone. The day after that, and the day after that. Weeks went by. But finally spring came, and she was back. She was back with a new box, and she was back in business. And when I saw her, I went running up and I said, "Ellie, I need a bouquet of flowers to make my dingy little room feel like home." And she looked up at me and she said, "Home? Home is where your heart sings."